ladies and gentlemen, we are here to rank some romance anime. Specifically, the romance anime that I have seen. I made a custom tier list on Tier Maker, and that's what we're going to be doing tonight. Now, there'll be a couple things before we get started. First of all, does the music sound okay? Is anything too loud? I'm trying to make sure everything is balanced because I haven't streamed in a hot minute. And I don't know if everything is balanced or not. I also have no way of hearing myself. I mean, I guess I could just turn the stream up on my iPad real quick. Let me know if you can hear the music. You're supposed to be able to hear some Zelda lo-fi is what we got cooking in the background. Bible app, don't tell me my streak's gonna die. I was just on there this morning. 285-day streak in the Bible app, by the way. That's pretty sick. Hello to everyone in the live chat. It's kind of hard to see. I have it pulled up on OBS, but it's kind of hard to see. So I can see it as it bumps up. I'm like 2 messages behind, I think, from what I can see on OBS. So that's cool. But that being said, hello to Lear Gamma, Fantastic, and the S4NT Games. Thank you to everyone who comes out to the stream, by the way. I very much appreciate it. It's very helpful. I almost forgot to press start recording. Okay, we're recording because this may or may not be a video in the future. It solely depends on how the stream is going, but I also want to just have the video. So, that being said, tonight, as I said, we are going to be ranking every single romance anime I have seen. Also, I really like what I have is VTuber Nick, as I would say, is on screen, which is just my channel avatar with a picture of like my room background. Because one, I don't hate setting up the camera. It's just a lot of work and a lot of unnecessary strain on my computer. So that's why I don't have a camera. It's also a lot easier because I can just kind of chill, but you still have some kind of visual representation that I am here. Plus the chat underneath. So fill up the chat so it keeps going. So that being said, anyway, we are going to be going over all of the romance anime I've seen. I made custom little things for all of them. I think there's 56 here, which is a lot. I was worried I wasn't going to have enough, but I definitely do. So I also went ahead and included movies in here as well. So like you can see Your Name down there, Weathering with You, Ride Your Wave. So there's movies and shows in here. So another thing I want to do is add row below, and we're gonna make a, what do we want to call this? I'm thinking F is really basic and generic. I'm gonna go Shadow Realm. Shadow Realm is in the very bottom, and it's going to be, we'll make it, what's the next color? Blue will be the next color down. That doesn't look shadowy to me, but if I make it black, it's gonna be hard to see. Okay, so here's how this is gonna work. Well, I guess I need another tier for this to work the way I want it to work. Because I was going to say C is mid. Like, C is literal mid tier. So, I want C to be literal mid. But I don't know if I can do that. Well, I'll make another, add row below. Let's make this one F. No, I did that wrong. That needs to be green. There we go. I always put stinky poo poo instead of F. I kind of like that. It's like kind of childish, but at the same time, I'm like, I kind of dig it. We're going to change Shadow Realm to like pink. And then this will go from new. Well, I guess I didn't need this open. I could just do it here. We're going to say, what do I want to, if Clampworks Kobato isn't in the tier list, I'll riot. I can tell you it's not because I've never heard of that. You can change the name clicking on the letters. Yes, I knew that, but sometimes in my head it doesn't register properly. I will put this tier. I'll probably put the tier list link in the stream description once the stream is over. But the problem is, because of the way Tier Maker is, it wouldn't let me upload all of these images at once, which was kind of frustrating. So I had to go in and like do the browse after and add all of these other ones later. So like I need to figure out how to get it so that all of these are on here, and then I'll put the link in so that everyone has access to it, and you can just tell me what you think of the anime I've seen. I can't put a never seen tier because I've literally seen all of these. So as you can see, a tier list for every romance anime I've seen. What do I want to make F tier? I'm gonna make it Rent a Girlfriend tier is like, spoiler alert, Rent a Girlfriend's going in Shadow Realm. We'll say this is gonna be domestic girlfriend. Well, no. We'll just go generic and say F. I'm seeing some goated shows down there. Dude, there's a lot of goated shows down here. Also, I think this is the first time I'm going to have announced it. Oh, hello, Warp Sonic, by the way. I realized that was your first chat. Once we hit either 500 or 1,000, I haven't decided yet. It truly depends on how fast the number climbs. I'm going to do another tier list that is all the anime I've seen. So, like, my list right now, including romance anime, I think is 96. And then I've seen like 50 movies. So, you've seen Domikano? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'll get there. Believe me. Yeah. So I'm planning on doing a tier list for every anime I've seen, like across the board, every movie, every show, whole 9 yards. That's probably going to be the 500 sub special, or special in air quotes. This one was just for fun, also so I could test out the tier maker. So that other one is going to take forever, and there's going to be some real hot takes in here, or in that one, because like we're going to have Jujutsu Kaisen and Chainsaw Man, and it's going to get heated. So that's why I'm waiting till we're a little bit bigger. But we can start with romance anime. So here's what I'm going to say before we get started. Just some ground rules to clarify. S tier is the equivalent of a 10 out of 10. Okay? A tier is anything from like, I would say 8 to 10. B, now you're looking at like 6 to 7. C tier is quite literally mid. Like, I know it's not like, well, it is biblically accurate tier list middle, if you include Shadow Realm. C is legitimately mid, like 5 out of 10, anywhere. For me, mid is anywhere from 4 to 6 out of 10. Like, anywhere in that range is mid. I don't just say mid to say, oh, I didn't like this show. Like, it's bad, so I'm saying it's mid. Like, no. I will tell you a show is bad versus just saying it's mid. So mid is legitimately middle. And then D, F, and Shadow is like, skip this. Skip. Just hard skip. Hard skip. Don't even bother. Don't even bother. So I need to stay hydrated because I just recorded. Hello, Zeke. Thank you for being here, and do listen in the background as you work. It's gonna get a little heated. We have a lot to go through, and I don't have like over elaborate explanations for all of them, but I do for some of them. So So yeah. Agree with Warp Sonic. My humble opinion, My Hero and JJK are the best animes in shonen. I won't give away too much of my opinion, but if you follow me on Twitter, you know that like I love My Hero. That's my number one, and I don't like Jujutsu Kaisen. So I will respectfully disagree, but everyone is entitled to their own opinion. That's another thing. I will intentionally be a little like, oh, this anime sucks, and like, but I'm also gonna give my honest opinions. If I don't like something, I don't like it, and I can't change that. Like, you berating me on the internet, like, oh, you didn't like this anime, like, that's not gonna make me like the anime. I have my own tastes. I have my own things I like and things I don't like. So let's all keep that in mind and be respectful. I don't want this channel to turn into a cesspool of just berating people for their anime opinions. I want it to feel like a place where everyone can share their opinions and be okay with that. Because let's be real. The internet should be a place where you can just jump on and say, hey, I don't like this show, I like this show. And you can say, hey, I disagree, but that's cool. Everyone's into whatever they want. So with that out of the way, I've kind of been delaying everything Jujutsu Kaisen does, Chainsaw Man does better. JJK has made it best. I actually kind of agree. I'm not a huge fan of Chainsaw Man either, but I think that is an incredibly valid point. Okay, so let's start this tier list because that's what you're here for. All right, we have a lot to go through, and I tried to shuffle them up the best I can because they were not in this order when I imported them. But I also didn't want to start off with like my 1 through 10 that is all S tiers. So first one right here, Kubo Won't Let Me Be Invisible. I picked up the manga for this one last year, 2 years ago. Read through the first volume, thought it was okay. And I watched the anime. So that's another caveat. I'm only going based off of the anime. So, like, some of these, like, Love is War is on here. Dress Up Darling's on here. Shikimori is on here. I'm not going based off of what I've read in the manga. I'm going solely based off of the anime. So, I will not let the manga... Unless it's, like, stuff that the anime has covered, obviously. I'm not going to let the manga influence my ranking, because otherwise this whole list would be a lot more skewed. So, first up, we have Kubo Won't Let Me Be Invisible. The anime was good. It was enjoyable. It's nothing like too special. The premise is pretty okay. And yeah, it was I. So I'll put it in B tier. I think that's a pretty solid B. Like, it was good. I'd recommend it. But it wasn't like groundbreaking. Next is Saint Cecilia and Pastor Lawrence. This one, okay. This one is like, it falls in the category of a Christian anime because it's literally about a pastor and a saint. So like, literally the context is there, and it was surprisingly wholesome. I was like, dang, I found it on a Christian anime Twitter. And they were like, hey, it's good, you should watch it. And I was like, oh, okay. So I watched it, and I was like, dang, this one kind of pops off. I wish it got a second season. I need to figure out if the manga continues, or if there is a manga, or if it's a completely original thing, because I would love to read the manga. I like the characters. I think there were a lot of good dynamics to be had, especially because there were no, like, how do I want to say this? Like, horny shenanigans. They're like, it was very wholesome, and there wasn't any of the typical horny shenanigans, which you will find later on will detract your romance anime points for me. Because that's not what I'm here for. I'm here for like the wholesome slice of life romance. So Saint Cecilia and Pastor Lawrence, I think, is another B tier. Like, it was good. Nothing like too revolutionarily groundbreaking. But yeah, it was all right. A Sign of Affection. Okay, this is a new one from this year. I think this is the only romance I've finished this year. So this one is good. Like, really good. I like the way they. First of all, it's a whole story. It's a whole story about this girl who's deaf and has to use sign language. It would be insane if they made the Christian romance anime horny. Yeah, that would be really wild because it would be like counterproductive to the entire like point of the show. So yeah, A Sign of Affection is really good. It's a lot of good representation for deaf people, and I think that's awesome. Very much in a similar way to A Silent Voice, which is not on this list, by the way. I do not consider A Silent Voice a romance anime because it's not. There's like a 30-second romance subplot, but that's not enough to justify. There were some that were like on the borderline. So anyway, Sign of Affection was good. It took me a little bit to get used to the character designs and like the art style because it wasn't my favorite, but once I got used to that, I was like, oh, okay, it's pretty good. My biggest gripe with the show, and I don't know if this is just me being dumb, my biggest gripe was the show, is they consistently say that she cannot hear. Like, she's deaf. She has virtually no hearing. She has hearing aids, but everything's kind of like a clump of whatever, like a clump of sounds all mixed together. And like the anime drives this point home, especially in the first 2 or 3 episodes. And they also drive home the point that she can read lips. And you're like, oh, that makes sense. Like, I totally understand that. But then people talk to her when she's not looking at them to read her lips. And she understands it perfectly as if she wasn't deaf. Like, it's not something that ruined my enjoyment of the show. It was just kind of annoying that you drove home the point that she's supposed to be deaf and can only use sign, text, and like writing on a notepad or reading people's lips. And the way the narrative goes makes it sound like she's not. So, other than that, I think this is another solid B tier, but I'm going to put it above. It's going to be like top of B tier because it is very wholesome. And it's also a nice change of pace because it's outside of the high school romance, which I know Saint Cecilia also was. But it is nice because a majority of these, and a majority of romance anime in general, is all high school. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when a majority of it is high school, it's very refreshing to see something outside of that. So, wow, we're 3 in, and it's been almost like 10 minutes. This is going to be great. And if you need a reason to stay around, let me give you some ones that I know will be hot takes. You're going to want to stick around for Toradora down here. Because that's a hot take. Your Lie in April is going to be a really hot take. And I think School Days will be a really hot take, too. So, not to, like, spoil anything, but also that it is what it is. Just like how it looks like Nobara could have dodged it, but in reality, she cannot have. Yeah. The anime sucks sometimes, because, like, the manga for Jujutsu Kaisen, I know, was very clear about that, but then the anime was like, nah, she just stopped moving. You're like, why'd she stop moving? Anyway, next up, Tomo-chan is a girl. So, my biases aside for the best friend, what is her name? I don't remember the best friend's name, who's like the emo goth girl from this show. But, like, listen, we'll absolutely flame you for your take on Your Lie in April. No, you're going to have to let me explain because I feel like I have a valid reason for my opinion. So you're just going to have to let me cook, okay? So aside from my love, and listen, I'm not like a goth girl guy, but I might be because I like the goth girl in Tomo-chan and Fruits Basket too. So that's 2. If we get up to 3, then it's like, okay, maybe this is like a little sub hint. Tomo-chan is good. The one thing I like about it is it tells a complete story in its 12 episodes, and you don't feel like you need a second season. But that being said, it was kind of I'm not gonna say mid because it wasn't, but it's like bottom of B tier. It was good, but eventually we'll get to something outside of B tier. We were having a really B start here. Speaking of which, my love story with Yamada-kun at level 999, dude, I easy binged that show last year. Hold on, the black haired girl in Tomo-chan doesn't seem goth to me. Okay, she doesn't seem goth, and I maybe goth is the wrong word, but she's like I would say she's probably closer to like an emo girl than anything else, just based on her persona of how she carries herself in the show. So yeah, my love story with Yamada-kun at level 999. It's a unrealistic story about how a gamer girl, I know those are so rare, falls in love with a gamer guy who only cares about video games. It's a very, he's just like me type story, but she's the protagonist. So I guess this would technically be a shoujo anime. So I'm going to give this one, I don't know, man. It's either going to be like a high B or A. I really liked this one. I thought it was good. I liked the development that happened in the 12 episodes. He's a career gamer, though. That is true. Gamer girl, definitely unrealistic. Yeah. So I don't. Oh, I really like the supporting cast too, because that's one thing I like about this one is the supporting cast is very involved, very interactive. Am I on my anime list? No. I will be though. That is a plan for a future stream, is setting up a Mal account and then going through and ranking rating all of the anime that I've seen on Mal, but not like tier list style. I don't use Mal because I don't like that it's separate from all of my other shows. Because I watch a lot, I watch a lot of anime, but I also watch a lot of shows that aren't anime, and I like having all of my shows in one place. So that's why I use Serialized. Not sponsored, by the way. All right, Yamada-kun is our first A tier of the night. It's not gonna stay at the top of A tier, but it's gonna sit nice and clean at A for now, because I thought it was really good. I like the development. I like the side characters, how involved they are in the story. All right, Teasing Master Takagi-san. Okay. So, hot take, question mark, this anime is actually mid. But not in a bad way. Like, it's not okay, it's not bad, but it's not like the greatest of all time. It's a fun show for what it is. It's very funny. Okay, actually, I've talked myself out. It's going in B tier. I talked myself out. It'll stay at bottom of B. Because it's fun. It's funny. It's 3 seasons of going on and on and on and on and on. Also, it's, I don't know. It doesn't help that the 3rd season is only on High Dive. That's a bad part of it. The end of season 3 is pretty good though. So I don't know. I'm gonna leave it in B tier. I don't have much to say. So Horimiya, the missing pieces specifically, not Horimiya. Horimiya's on this list somewhere. I don't know where. Right here. Actually, I'll just no. I'm not gonna do them both. I'll leave it. But Horimiya is here. Horimiya proper. This is a missing pieces. That is mid. This, first of all, did not deserve to win Best Romance of the Year at the Crunchyroll Anime Awards or whatever award it won, because it's literally filler content. It is the filler content that they decided not to adapt in the anime proper and got another 12 episodes out of it. So I feel like, in hindsight, dude, Horimiya, little spoiler for my thoughts on Horimiya overall. Horimiya, actually, I'll just go ahead and do it. Horimiya proper, S tier. Horimiya is such a good anime, right? It's such a good series. It's, dude, peak romance. Because you get, like, they get together really early, and then the rest of the series is, like, them developing as a couple, while you also have the romance subplots of the side characters. Dude, it's so freaking good, because they, like, talk out all their issues, and they really make an effort, and he gets really involved in her family, and, like, it's great. The Missing Pieces, however, is mid, because it's literally just filler content that didn't make it into the S tier anime. And if Horimiya, The Missing Pieces, and Horimiya were together, and it was one, like, 24 episode consolidated anime that actually adapted everything properly, that would be like a triple S tier show. But because The Missing Pieces is so out of context, especially if you haven't seen the main anime, it just doesn't make any sense. And, like, there's all these complicated charts of, wow. Well, okay, so to watch it all in chronological order, you have to start episode 1 of The Missing Pieces, and then you can start episode 1 of the anime. It's like reading the Bible in chronological order, where you have to stop halfway through an episode to then pick up Horimiya proper. They didn't do that in Horimiya proper, though. I don't remember that. You might be thinking of Love is War, but even then, that was in the manga. I don't think they had any, philandering in Horimiya proper. I might be wrong. I know they got a little on the horny side, but, I mean, that's whatever. But, yeah, so it's literally like reading the Bible chronologically, where you have to stop, and it's just stupid, and I wish this didn't exist. Like, I'm always glad for more Horimiya content, don't get me wrong, but post credits of what episode? Hold on. When I watched Horimiya through the first time, I guess I missed it. This is... What? Ain't no way. Hold on. I'm looking at this on my phone. I remember this scene. Whoa. Dang, that's wild. That is actually insane. How did I not know that? Wait, what episode is that? Oh, it was episode 7? When? I guess it was a post-credit scene. That's wild. I mean, yeah, that's fair. I didn't know it was there. So that's... Yeah, no, it was episode 7. You were very close. I knew there was a scene where they were like, oh, did they do it? But it was like up in the air and nobody knew. And I just was like, oh, maybe they did, maybe they didn't. Like, it's whatever. So yeah, Horimiya proper S tier. The Missing Pieces C tier, literal mid, because it doesn't make any sense. Anyway. Okay, I gotta drink some water before this next one, because another rant is incoming here. So the next one is one that I've literally never seen anyone talk about, but is one I got really into because of the premise, and It's a couple of cuckoos, which it is a pretty cuckoo anime. So the premise is the two main characters were born in the same hospital at the same time. And then they got switched at birth. And then they got raised in the families that they were switched with. And the families didn't know that they had the wrong kid until, like, they were elementary, middle school age, because they started to not look like their parents, obviously. So then they tracked down the parents of the opposite kid, and they all got together, and they were like, oh, this is great. I love, yes, thanks for hanging out, Christian Anime Podcast. You're definitely going to want to react to it later with me on Your Lie in April, because I will have a lot to say about Your Lie in April. So, anyway, a couple of cuckoos, they got switched. The families get together. They're like, oh, wouldn't it be great if we were all families? And they do this, like, arranged marriage between the two kids. And it's interesting because they're like, all right, so the best result is for these kids to live together. And that'll make them fall in love. And it's like, whoa. Okay. That's interesting. But this is what's interesting. Is the guy has a crush on, like, his own, like, friend at school. And the girl is, like, trying to bond with her sister. But the sister of the girl, the biological sister of the girl is the adoptive sister of the guy. But the adopted sister, after finding out that they're not biologically related, you can see where this is going, is like, maybe I'm in love with my brother. So this series is good, to say the least. It's going in B tier. It would go in A tier if there wasn't any incest. And, like, there's not. Like, nothing actually happens, but it's the fact that, like, the sister is so into the brother in a romantic way. And if you just took that out, it would be an otherwise really good series. Because it is kind of like, the girl is a social media influencer, so she's, like, trying to do all this different stuff, and he knows nothing about social media. So it has a good premise, and I didn't like the first little bit. It took me a bit to get into it, but once I got into it, I was like, oh, you know what? This is kind of good, actually. So yeah, I'm going to give it B tier, but, like, bottom of B tier. Actually, no. It's going to go in mid, but it's better than The Missing Pieces. So it'll go in C tier. It was good. It's worth a watch if you want to, like, binge through it, but I'm not, like, the most passionate about it. Next up, we have, I think it's Osamake, the rom-com where the childhood friend doesn't lose or won't give up or won't lose or some variation of that title. This is an easy F tier. It was just, like, the dumbest garbage I've ever watched. Like, it's a bunch of contrived plots where this guy has 3 childhood friends and they're all, like, competing. But if you want to watch an anime where the, like, it's a harem in air quotes where all the girls have to compete, like, I don't know, watch Quintessential Quintuplets, which is a better rendition of that. So yeah, that Osamake goes in F tier. I don't even have that much to say about it other than it goes in F tier. Tsundere Children, I don't know if anybody's seen this one. I don't know if, like, this is a big show for anyone. I'm sorry, this is such a hard D tier. It was okay. But the problem was it was a bunch of mini-sodes tied together as opposed to, like, big overarching stories, and it was more of an anthology than anything else. And it was very out of context, so I'll give it a D tier. All right, Warp Sonic, what are you saying? Okay, hear me out about arranged marriage. You get to fall in love when you're already married, and then you don't have to wait, if you catch my drift. I do, and I'm going to disagree. I see the benefit of what you're saying. Like, don't get me wrong. I see the idea that you are presenting, where it's like, oh, your person is picked out, so you lose the, like, you can essentially skip the whole, like, let's fall in love and then get married, and like you're already married and like you're kind of figuring out as you go. I don't disagree with you on that concept. My bigger issue with arranged marriage is you lose a lot of the choice, if that makes sense. Like, you can't just go, and I know that's kind of the point you're making, or like trying to make, I guess, is there is no choice involved. Like, someone else makes the choice for you. But who knows you better? Your family, who would be doing the picking, or you, who could pick for yourself? So it's kind of like, I see the point, but I'm also going to disagree. Next one is, I lied. A Sign of Affection was not the only anime I watched this year. Romance I watched this year. Hokkaido gals are super adorable. What did I rank this one? What did I not rank? I'm sorry, rate this one. I think I gave it 3 stars, which puts it slightly above mid, which is going to put it in B tier. I'm putting it in B tier solely for the purple hair gamer girl, who is definitely my type. Everything else about the show is kind of mid. I'm not gonna lie. It's not the horniest show on here, but it's up there. Like, especially with the main girl and the main guy. Like, nothing happens, but there's a lot of like the shenanigans, if you will. But what if you don't fall for the arranged husband? If you're going to marry for love. God gave us the freedom of making decisions, so shouldn't you have the right to decide who you marry? Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. Like, I don't know. Wow, this turned theological real quick. I don't know if God intended for there to be arranged marriage. I think that's something that's a social construct we came up with at some point in history to essentially barter off children for your own personal benefit. And I don't, like, yes, it worked out in some scenarios. I know it is done a lot, or was done a lot, in the royal, like, families and stuff. But then again, like, who are you to take the choice of who to marry away from your kid? You know what I mean? So, yeah. Anyway, Hokkaido Gals anime. The one interesting thing about it is, if you watch it dubbed, it's literally just a bunch of Canadians. Like, I joked about it on Twitter when I started watching it, but literally the dub cast is just this guy moves to Canada. Like, I legitimately forgot he was in Hokkaido, because all the girls and like all the other characters talk with Canadian accents, down to like the, oh, did you get something from the store, eh? And I'm like, bro, this is literally, what? This is just Canada. So I don't know where the English dub people think that Hokkaido and Canada are the same. Maybe they are, and I'm just uncultured, but that was interesting. So yeah, middle of B tier for now. All right, here's our first movie. Rascal Does Not Dream of a Sister Venturing Out, I think is the title. It's one of the Bunny Girl Senpai movies that just came out, and it's about his sister. Why is the movie about his sister in the romance anime tier list? One, because the whole series revolves around Sakata and Mai's relationship. That's kind of the whole point of the series, in a way. And they're both in it. So yes, the sister is the focal point. I would give this a pretty decent A tier. Not better than Yamada-kun. But the sister venturing out was good. I liked where they went with a lot of the story, and I won't spoil it because I know it just came out in the U.S. And it's already gone because they did like a one-day thing. But it was good. I like the direction they went with it. Next up, Waiting in the Summer. This is a niche. I like how you guys are just talking about arranged marriage. This is so funny. Thanks a couple of cuckoos for starting a big theological, not debate, but conversation in the comments. It's young adult might not be the best judge. Yeah, but also like sometimes you got to live and learn. And I know that's Fantastic Fanatics comment is if they make the wrong decision, they can learn from it and move on. Listen, some of the best stuff I've gone through in my life, or like the best learning experiences, is where I was just allowed to live and let learn. My mom was a very like learn by experience type parent, where like there were certain nights where she was like, you can stay up and play video games as late as you want. And I'm like, oh, cool. So I'd stay up till 2 a.m. And then she'd come in my room at like 8 and be like, all right, time to get up. And I'm like, well, I want more sleep. And she's like, then go to bed earlier. Like that's how I learned. So like some stuff you just kind of got to learn and figure it out. But yeah, that's my take. So Waiting in the Summer. It's a niche one where nerdy film guy falls in love with an alien. I kid you not. That is the premise. And it's literally one of the most wholesome shows I've ever watched. And it's kind of sappy too, because like the whole time she's got to leave and go back into her space place. I'm going to put it like upper B tier, honestly. I really enjoyed it. The opening kind of slaps, the subplots go hard, and the ending is ambiguous, but also pretty definitive if you pay attention. So I'll put it in B tier. My Happy Marriage. This is a easy mid. Easy mid. Why, you may ask? Not that it's bad, but My Happy Marriage is an easy mid because they're like, how do I want to put this? The ramp up to the like mid-season climax, because you go through a lot of the stuff with the girl. Like she has a lot of family abuse because of her status in the family. So they kind of like essentially arranged marriage. Oh, this is perfect. This ties right into the arranged marriage thing. They essentially arranged marry her off to this guy because they think this guy is like dark and evil or whatever, but he's not. He's just misunderstood. And he is a good guy. And they're a good couple together, and the way they work through things is really nice. But I feel like I got really disinterested after the climax, because the mid-season climax is her family, her sister quite literally cannot stand the fact that she could possibly in any way, shape, or form be happy where she's at. Like, because the whole reason they sent her off was so that she could like live this miserable life worse than she was already living in their house as a servant and like being poorly mistreated and whatever. So when they find out she's like surviving and thriving and doing well, they're like, you know what? We're going to kidnap you and we're going to torture you because you suck, by the way. And then the guy finds out and he storms their house and burns it to the ground and saves her. And it was the best episode of the series. But then it kind of like plateaued from there. So I'm like, if half the season is mid at best, then that kind of makes the whole show mid at best. It's definitely worth watching, but for me, I just didn't think the second half was all that interesting, because they also dove a lot into the supernatural like magic system of the world, which was cool because it was like a romance with this magic system in it. But I was also like, could be better. So, that is that. The next one, Science Fell in Love, So I Tried to Prove It. This is another one I watched this year, but it's not from this year. Actually, I started it last year, like the end of last year. This one is kind of interesting. It takes the it literally takes the nerd emoji and makes it a romance anime. But like all the girls are hot, which is kind of confusing because like that feels counterproductive. Not saying that scientific people are unattractive, but I don't know. I just thought it was funny. Anyway, this one is good. It's definitely an interesting watch, and I think that it kind of falls off at the end because at the end of the second season they set up this very generic love triangle that ruins the resolution they came to at the end of the first season. Or I'm sorry, the middle of the second season. I don't know. There's a point where like you get a resolution and then inserting the love triangle then exists to break the new status quo that we just set like 5 episodes ago. So outside of that, I thought it was really funny. I like the side characters. I like the cast. I think it's an upper C tier. It was good, but it's not like, I wouldn't say it's better than any of these. So yeah. Also, I will say anything C tier and above, I would recommend watching. Anything D tier to down here, just absolutely skippable, unwatchable, even. All right, Romantic Killer. This one I think would have done so much better if it was not stuck on Netflix. I hate that anime get trapped in the Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu jail, and they don't do as well as they could. Romantic Killer is an easy A tier. It's the proper way to do a harem anime, honestly speaking, because there's 4 guys or 3 guys, I think. And she's like the girl, so she's a gamer. We got another gamer girl here. I'm planning on doing a recommendation video or like a YouTube short on this one because I never see anyone talk about it. So this wizard shows up and is like, "Hey, the birth rate in Japan is declining, so we need you to like start dating someone, get married, and have kids." And the girl is like, "Yeah, I don't really care. I just like chocolate cats and my video games." And the magic potato wizard is like, "Okay, I'm gonna take this away." And the wizard takes all 3 of her favorite things away, and then says, "If you don't fall in love with one of the people, like dating sim style anime, you are never going to get these things back." So then she starts getting put in all of these like stereotypical romance anime positions where like, "Oh, I'm late for school, so I'm running to school with bread in my mouth, and then I bump into the guy and the guy helps me up." Or, "Oh, it's raining and he gives me my umbrella." Stuff like that. And it kind of like pokes fun at the tropes too, which is what makes it so good. The proper way to do a harem is 100 girlfriends. No, I dropped that garbage after episode 2. Because I thought, okay, so 100 girlfriends that really, 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 really like you. I may have gotten the number of reallys wrong, but I don't care. So Warp Sonic, you can believe that, but I'm going to respectfully disagree. I dropped it after episode 2 because I went into it under the assumption that it was going to be like quintessential quintuplets, where he would have to pick one. And I think that would be a very much more interesting premise where he has to pick 1 out of 100, especially if you spend the entire series getting emotionally attached and invested 2 out of the 100. So then to find out that like he has to date all of them or they're all gonna die. And then also like, doesn't he bang the mom at the end? Like, don't they like, doesn't he sleep like, cause he start like one of his soulmates is like one of the other girls' moms. And he like, doesn't he sleep with the mom at the end of the first season? Yeah, I know he's forced to choose all of them, but I don't think that's fair. I think he should have to choose one. Call me a monogamous kind of guy. No, he doesn't. It's a misdirection. How is it a misdirection? I've seen the scene. How is that a misdirection? He doesn't bang the mom. So far, that is the wildest chat to come out of this stream. He doesn't bang the mom. Don't worry, guys. I need you to elaborate on that in a clean way, like, because obviously there are rules in the chat. But I know, like, that happens at the end, question mark. Anyway, she makes him cross-dress. I feel like that's even worse. Like, I don't know. That's, I got a huge Streamlate. Okay, I'm going to switch. I was reading the Streamlate live as it happens. But I'm going to watch it on my iPad, so I'm seeing the thing pop up at the same time it does. Why can't we leave the moms alone? Yeah, no joke. Like, I know some people have a thing for moms, which is kind of weird, by the way. But, you know, it is what it is. So, all right, A Galaxy Next Door. This is mid. This is mid at best. It's actually gonna go bottom of C tier. It was good and wholesome because it's about this guy who's a mangaka and he's trying to provide for his siblings, and that's really wholesome. And the girl comes in and like wants to work with him, but then there's this supernatural element where like she has a bee stinger and she accidentally stings him, and then they become linked and like cannot get unmarried. So here's another arranged marriage type thing. And like then like half the anime is trying to figure out how they can undo this so that they don't have to get married. But then as they go on, like they kind of fall in love and it's whatever. But, you know, it's fine. It's very wholesome, but it was okay. They have a literal point that he keeps his chastity intact to this day in the manga. Okay, I guess you kind of get a pass there. Still, I'm not a big fan of like harem anime in general. So anyway, Over the Sky. This is a movie. D tier. The Over the Sky is, if you wanted to watch a arranged marriage meets B movie. What a way to put it. That's actually kind of funny. Yeah, kind of. Over the Sky is like if you wanted to watch Spirited Away and Weathering with You, but a worse version of either of those movies. And like, hot take, I'm not a huge fan of Spirited Away, and I love Weathering with You. So like watching Over the Sky was very polarizing because it took all of the things I liked about Weathering with You and then meshed them with all of the things I didn't like about Spirited Away, and then you get Over the Sky, and it's over F tier, but it's still in D. All right, next. The Angel Next Door Spoils Me Rotten. This show, dude, I literally have seen no one talk about this ever. Your Lie in April is next, by the way, so get ready. The Angel Next Door Spoils Me Rotten is high A tier, like borderline S tier, because the whole premise is this girl is outside in the rain. The guy shows up and is like, "Hey, let me give you my umbrella so you don't get sick." But then he ends up getting sick. But then you find out they're next door neighbors. And he lives on his own, and she lives on her own. And she, like, comes over to his apartment and is like, "Hey, you don't clean. You don't eat properly. Like, let me clean your apartment and make you food because we kind of, like, it's a, not symbiotic. Like, it's a they coexist very well together. And they essentially act like a married couple, even though they're not married. Like, yes, they still live in their separate apartments and stuff, so there's no shenanigans there. But he's also, like, the guy is a really upstanding guy. Because there's times when he, like, she falls asleep at his apartment or whatever, and he carries her into his room and, like, puts her in the bed, covers her up, and he goes and sleeps on the couch. Whereas, like, another romance anime might have turned that into, like, oh, well, I'm going to stare at her chest, or, like, I'm going to have some dirty thoughts. Like, this protagonist has to have been the cleanest romance anime protagonist of all time. Because he is, like, this upstanding, wholesome guy who absolutely respects her in every way, shape, or form. He does not do anything that, like, maybe I think there's, like, one moment where he has a weird fantasy, but he's also a teenage guy, so he gets a pass. Not that you should take all your thoughts captive and submit them to Christ, but he, like, one little dot in a sea of good things, I'm not, like, I can overlook that. So he is a very, like, wholesome and upstanding guy, and there's this great subplot where he doesn't think he's worthy of her at all. And she, like, starts to fall for him, and he's, like, falling for her, but has this underlying thought of, well, she's too good for me. She's way out of my league. Because at the school they go to, they're like, oh, she's an angel. She's so beautiful, like, so talented or whatever. So, like, their relationship and the way it's built over the 12 episodes, and it's getting a second season, and I'm really excited about that. It's such a good show. And I think in episode 11 or 12, a rumor goes out that, like, they're dating, and people start ragging on him. They're like, you don't deserve her. She's too good for you. You're not good enough. And she goes, like, full Ben Shapiro on them and just absolutely destroys them with facts and logic. And it was so good. So if you haven't seen The Angel Next Door Spoils Me Rotten, it's very good. Another one I'm going to do a recommendation on because I don't see enough people talk about it. And it's just so wholesome and so clean and so good compared to some other romance that I've seen, especially ones that we will get to on this list. All right, let me water up before I give probably the hottest take of the night and rank Your Lie in April. Okay. Your Lie in April. Hot take. Is one of the most overrated anime of all time. Like, legitimately. And I don't say that like to exaggerate. I genuinely believe it is overrated and overhyped. Maybe more so than One Piece, which is what I said in my least favorite anime video that I did, or the short. Your Lie in April. I watched it 2 years ago. Let me give some context before I put it on the board. Your Lie in April, I think, is an anime that I watched. And it's okay. I think there's a lot of interesting things. I think all of the performances are really well done because the music elevates the series and it has really good music. It has really good animation. The opening's obviously iconic and a banger. But all that to say, I still think it's not great because essentially everything in Your Lie in April revolves around the main character like he is the center of the universe. And I will come back to that because I disagree. Fantastic fanatic. I will come back to that. Your Lie in April does some stuff right. I think it gets really... how do I want to put this? Existential about halfway through because, like, the stakes come back of what's going to happen to the blonde girl. And, like, yeah, the piano kid is really into her, and that's whatever. But also, Like, I don't know. I just think it's stupid that everything revolves around this kid. Like, every other character that gets introduced, aside from the main four, is like, oh my gosh, you're the one who inspired me to do blah, 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 blah. It's like if All Might were a piano kid and, like, he inspired all these people. But it's worse because this kid was not, like, a nationally recognized, like, he was not the number one hero in the world, right? So, like, all right, Warp Sonic, see you later. Thanks for hanging out. So I'm just like, I don't know. The whole world revolves around this guy, and I know the stakes of, like, the blonde girl dying at the end. Oh, I guess spoilers, by the way. Spoilers should be implied for most of these. Sorry, I should have said that first. I know the blonde girl dying is, like, the whole thing, and his childhood friend, like, falling in love with him, but can't have him, but she's like, oh, the blonde girl's dead, so we can be together, and I'll, like, keep an eye on you, or whatever. I don't know. I thought it's not my favorite, and I don't like it, and I would never watch it again. So with that, because of that, I'm putting it in top of D tier. I don't know what to say. I don't know what else I can say to justify my point other than I just didn't think it was good. I think it was overrated. Everyone was like, you're going to cry. It's so sad. And I got to the end and, like, yeah, I'm not saying it wasn't sad. I'm just saying it was It was nah. It was just nah. So, yeah. That's what I have to say about Your Lie in April. Anyone can feel free to openly flame me for this opinion. I just don't like it. And I never have. And it was really a slog to finish it too, because I got bored halfway through, but I was like, let me chug it through. Because I find it really hard for me to not finish a series. Like, a series has to be abysmal for me to not finish it. Because I don't like leaving things incomplete. And I'm also like, oh, maybe the ending will change my mind. Maybe that will change my opinion on that. No, nothing changed with Your Lie in April. I didn't like it from the middle, and I didn't like it at the end. So, that's that about that. I know D tier is, like, shocking, and that's probably one of my hottest anime takes is Your Lie in April in D tier. So, I do want to come back to Fantastic Fanatic. Dragon Ball Z is the most overrated. Dragon Ball Z is not good. I can understand where that argument is coming from. I can understand why someone would think that way. Because I'm not the biggest fan of Dragon Ball Z either. I never finished it. I got, like, halfway through the Buu saga, and I got bored. I got to the part where Vegeta sacrificed himself because I wanted to see that episode, and then I stopped. And that was, like, 7 years ago. Or no, that was, like, 6 years ago. So I can understand it not being your favorite and, like, being overrated. I don't think it's overrated. I think it's overhyped. I know there's a lot of nostalgia that comes with that too, where people are like, oh, Dragon Ball Z is good. You should watch it. But, like, it's just so long. It kind of has the same issue of One Piece, where it's got a lot of pacing issues. Just because that was how anime was done back then. And, like, now, anime doesn't really have to do filler arcs or filler episodes because of the way production schedules have changed. But yeah, that's what I have to say about that. Next up, Rent a Girlfriend. I don't even think I need to explain. Dude, Shadow Realm. And I kid you not, this show has so much potential to be like a B, A, or S tier show if you take the rental girlfriend aspect out of it and you remove Kazuya from the show. Like, if you take out the MC and the whole like rent a girlfriend aspect, it could be an S tier show, because I do really like the games that mommy plays as the ex, and like how she just does not want him to be happy. And I love her for that, because he doesn't deserve to be happy. And the one thing I do really like is I love Chizuru's like her whole subplot of wanting to be an actress, I think is handled really well, which is why I think the third season of Rent a Girlfriend is the best one, because they lean into that with that arc of like trying to crowdfund the movie. Season 3 is actually the most bearable, because Kazuya actually becomes a somewhat decent human being and is really trying to help her out with like getting this movie and doing all this stuff. And there's so much potential there if you took out the main character and the rental girlfriend aspect. So really what I want is a show about Chizuru, not anything else. If there was a show about her, that would be fantastic. But other than that, it's Shadow Realm. It's not good. It's a bad show, and you shouldn't watch it. Next up, we have Violet Evergarden, the movie. I did not put the series on here because I don't consider Violet Evergarden itself to be a romance, but I do consider the movie. I would put the movie in... I don't know, dog. This might be another hot take. Put it in C tier. I think Violet Evergarden is carried by animation. I'll be honest. It's a very pretty show with really good animation, but I just could not get behind the story. Like, and this might sound dumb, the age gap between Violet and, like, the captain guy that she was in love with, just, I could never get over that. Like, it was such a massive age gap, because he was, like, 20 when they met, and she was, like, 10. So, like, I don't know. It was just weird. I also don't think it was that great. Like, I think Violet Evergarden is fine. It's mid. Violet Evergarden is mid. It's a 4 through 6 out of 10. I think I would give Violet Evergarden like a 6 out of 10. I like the premise. I like the setting of, like, this post-war, let's rebuild everything, but we're not, like, quite there technology-wise. But I thought it was okay. Kaguya-sama Love is War, The First Kiss That Never Ends. It's an A tier. It's actually a high A tier. This is just the movie for just that specific arc. This is not the entire show. The entire show is right here. I mean, it was good. I really enjoyed it for what it is. I need to go back and watch it dubbed, because I watched it subbed before. That arc is incredible, and I'm sad that they just stopped, because they left on a cliffhanger. And as I said I said it in a video that's not out yet. Romance anime has this curse of not getting over a third season. And, like, I don't know why they never go past season 3. But they just don't. So, I'll put it there. I don't want to say too much, because I'll say a lot about Love is War itself. The ice guy and his cool female colleague, that's an easy C tier. It's another, I'd give that a 5 out of 10. So literally mid. Because in my mind, it was good. It was like an office romance, so it was really interesting. I like that they had the powers and stuff. Because, like, there's all these different maidens. Like, he's a descendant of the Ice Maiden or whatever, so whenever he gets flustered, he just puts ice everywhere. And it was a fun dynamic. And it was cute and wholesome and whatnot. But, you know, it is what it is. Masamune-kun's Revenge, F tier. What a dumb show. I can't believe I watched that. Like, the whole premise is this guy who's, like, fat gets swole so that he can get to know this girl and then just be like, oh, actually, I hate you. So I'm going to, like, ask you out, and then when you say yes, I'll get to the date and dump you so you know how I felt. Like, what a petty, insignificant little man. I think that's just so stupid. So, yeah, I don't have much to say about that. My teen romantic comedy snafu, another F tier. I couldn't get past the first season. And like I said, it takes a lot for me to not finish something. And this is it. I didn't finish it. It was so abysmal. I didn't finish the show. I watched the first season and was like, yeah, I'm dipping out. This is stupid. So I don't have much to say about that. Girlfriend, another Shadow Realm. Legitimately, the worst show I have ever seen. Legitimately. So for those who don't know, the premise of Girlfriend is the main character is dating the redhead girl here. And they're in a great, happy relationship. I think they're like childhood friends or something, and they started going out. It's really great. And then this blue-haired chick works up the courage to confess to him and like takes him on the roof at school and is like, hey, I made you this food. Like, can we eat lunch? And he's like, oh, yeah, sure. So he has lunch and whatever. And she's like, oh, by the way, I'm in love with you. Please let me cook more food for you. And instead of saying, you know, that's really thoughtful of you. That's really, you know, that's really nice of you to like make this food and yada, yada, yada. Like, but you know, I have a girlfriend, so it's just not going to work out. He goes to his girlfriend and says, hey, can we start a harem? And like, I date both of you? And at first, the girlfriend, the redhead, is like, no, that's ridiculous. And he gaslights and talks her into it. But the whole time, she's portrayed as the bad guy for wanting a monogamous relationship with her boyfriend. And then he gaslights her with the blue-haired chick into it. But she can't tell her friend, who's the silver-haired girl, who she's like besties with, because they're going to think he's double timing. So then eventually the blonde gets involved and the blonde falls in love with him and like they bring her in. So now there's 3. And then at the end of the first season, they tease this, but it doesn't happen until the second season. The redhead's best friend gets in on it. So now there's 4 of them and they're all together in this harem. And it's so stupid. It's garbage. It's disgusting. Anyway, to go from Shadow Realm to an actual genuine S tier, Weathering with You, top of S tier, baby. Woo! Top of S tier. If you have not seen Weathering with You, peak romance, peak coming of age story, where this guy runs away from home and is like, hey, I'm sorry that I ran away from home. I ran to Tokyo, but then I met this girl and I fell in love in the span of a month. Because she gave me a McDonald's Big Mac for free. Listen, if I was depressed and a girl gave me a Big Mac, I'd say, yeah, let me wife her up. So, it's really good. I don't want to say too much about it, because I don't want to give too much away, because it's a movie. But go watch it. Weathering with You is peak. Next up, the quintessential quintuplets. I know, this is a popular one. I'm sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. Quintessential quintuplets is mid, but it's like upper mid. The reason I don't like it is because the girl I like didn't win, but also it doesn't make any sense because the girl I like was like, so if you look at the Quints anime and you look at all 5 girls as like a statistical chance of them being the one at the end, the one I like had like easily 75 to 90% chance, somewhere in that range. I'd actually argue probably like a 90% chance. Her and one of the other sisters had like a 90% chance. And then the one that won was the most sidelined background character for the entire series. Whether it's like that in the manga or not, I don't know. It may not be like that in the manga. But it was the most, like, she got so sidelined and backgrounded in the anime that it made it frustrating when you watched the movie. Where's the movie? The movie's on here. I'll go ahead and rank that too. Or the movie should be on here. Here it is. I'll also put the movie with, like, they can go together because it's kind of the same. But it made it really frustrating in the movie when he picks the girl that he picks, because it's like, well, she's been sidelined the entire anime. So now you're just like gonna say, oh yeah, that's my wife. She's the one who's been by my side the whole time. It's like, no, we haven't seen her for half the series. So other than that, I think it was okay, which is why I put it in mid. And it's worth watching. I definitely want to go back and watch it again and see if my opinion changes based on knowing the ending. And it might. It honestly might. So next up we have Shikimori is Not Just a Cutie. This one is another like borderline S tier, but I don't know if it's like, I don't know if it's S tier. It's really good. It's really good. But a lot of the things that would make me elevate it to S tier come from the manga, and I can't include that because this is just the anime. So for the first season of the anime, and probably the only season we'll ever get, I'm gonna put it in top of A tier for now. Also, I'm deciding this halfway through the stream. At the end, we're going to pick one of the S tiers and promote it to God tier. I'm stealing that from another content creator I like, and I think it's a great idea. So we're going to promote one to God tier at the end, but it's going to come from S tier. So don't worry, guys. We have some real S tier bangers coming up. So yeah, Shikimori is really good. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. Very wholesome. One of the things I like most about it is that the main characters start out together, and the whole series is about the progression of their relationship, which is a very different thing that I don't see a lot of anime do. So there's that. Next up, we have the Rascal Does Not Dream of a Knapsack Girl, which is the other side of the coin to the sister venturing out, because I saw them as a double feature. This one I think is easy high A tier, and I like this one mainly because it does a lot with Sakata, and it really related to me on a personal level because the whole movie is about his relationship with his mom and how complicated that relationship is. And I just think that's a really important and interesting thing that they touched on. And I'm glad that they did. It also, at the end of this one, they announced that the college arc is entering production, so we've officially escaped the high school romance with this one, which is sick. I don't know if Bunny Girl Senpai has broken the 3-season curse, because everything after it has been movies. Like, they did 3 movies for these 3 arcs, and now they're going back to the anime, so I don't know. But it was good. Wodakoi, Love is Hard for an Otaku. Bro, D tier. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people love this one. Here, I'll say it was better than Your Lie in April. I'll tell you that much. But that's not saying a lot. I didn't think it was that great. I think it would have been better if the main girl and her friend were not so into BL, because that was like a whole subplot, was them shopping for BL and talking about BL manga, and like it just turned me off. I didn't like it. Everything else about it was pretty good, but like that one factor really drug it down for me because it was such a key factor of the series, and that was the problem. But everything else about it being like an adult office relationship, the characters are fun, the opening is iconic, but other than that, I was like, hard pass. All right, easy S tier here. S tier, like higher than Weathering with You, Kaguya-sama Love is War. The best, the monolith of romance anime of all time in Kaguya-sama Love is War. I don't think there will ever be a romance anime that surpasses this series. The writing is phenomenal. The characters are amazing. The comedy is out of this world hilarious. And I will never understand how Akira Akisaka went from writing Love is War, which is peak, to writing what I have been described as one of the most mid stories of all time in Oshinoko. Listen, we gotta let Akira Akisaka cook with Oshinoko. He's not done yet. But he's done with Love is War. And I put it in S tier even before reading the manga. Like, the manga would have elevated it to, like, triple S tier. And honestly, Love is War is a very strong contender for God tier. Because it's just so good. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. Although there's not a lot of people who haven't seen Love is War. It's very good. Next up is Josie, the Tiger and the Fish. I would give this one a solid... I'm going to give it a high B tier. I know. That's probably like blasphemy to somebody. I'll give it a high B tier. I think it's good. I really enjoyed the movie, but there were some plot threads that I didn't like that were left very open. So it is definitely emotional. I did get emotional watching it, but other than that, it was all right. Words bubble up like soda pop. I'm going to give that a C tier. I don't really have a big explanation for that one. It was all right. It was pretty mid. Same for... Okay, well, I don't know if I can say that. Ride Your Wave, I'm going to put at the bottom of B tier. I watched this one the first time and I didn't like it. I thought it was boring. But then I went back and watched it again. And after watching it again and knowing what was going to happen and being able to process everything that was happening, really made it a lot more enjoyable. And I think the story came across a lot better of this, young girl who found the love of her life and then he tragically passed away, and like having to move on from that and what the grieving process looks like, and how like him coming back as a water spirit was a coping mechanism, and like how all that played out, I really liked on the first round. Yeah. I think Ride Your Wave gets a pass in B tier. Domestic Girlfriend, Shadow Realm, easy. But not worse than a Girlfriend, because Domestic Girlfriend at least has like it's so bad it's funny, which is why it's going at top of Shadow Realm. Like, Domestic Girlfriend, the premise is dumb and stupid and nobody should watch it. But at least Domestic Girlfriend was like funny bad. Rent a Girlfriend and Girlfriend are just bad. Domestic Girlfriend, I watched it with my friend Colin. We watched it dubbed together when we were in high school. And it was some of the most fun I've ever had watching an anime with someone. Because the whole time we were just laughing at how stupid it was and how, like, insanely convoluted and dumb the premises were. And, like, for those who don't know, this guy... So the anime starts with this guy having a one-night stand with this random girl he met at a club because she was like, we should, and I've never done it. Terrible, terrible thing to do, by the way. But he's like, I'm never going to see you again. But he also has a really big thing for his teacher. So what would happen if he came home one day and his dad said, hey, by the way, I'm married now. Here's my new wife, your stepmom, and here's your two stepsisters. And it's the girl he slept with that one time and his teacher. And now they're all related. So that's the starting premise. And you can imagine it gets pretty weird because the one-night stand girl got really attached to him and like started falling for him, and the teacher was like, we can't be together, but I'm in love with you. And the guy is like caught somewhere in the middle, and it's just so dumb and stupid and trashy, and no, but it was funny bad, so I give it it's fine. More Than a Married Couple but Not Lovers. I know Alex really likes this one, and I don't blame him. I think it's really good. It's the embodiment of that meme from Friends where Chandler's like, oh no, two gorgeous women are in love with me. Whatever am I gonna do? That's legitimately the premise here, because their school is like, hey, the birth rate is declining. We need to teach you guys how to get married and live together. So the super like nerdy, unpopular, insert character guy gets paired up with the school's like hottest girl in town, but he wants to be paired up with his childhood friend because he's in love with her, and the girl he's with wants to be paired up with the person that his childhood friend is with. So they want to switch partners so they can like have the ideal match. But then the girl really starts to fall for him, and he starts to fall for her. And it's kind of wholesome. It is a little on the horny side, which is why it's not going in A tier, but it'll get like a high B. And there's the whole premise of living together. Yeah, they have separate rooms, but that causes a lot of shenanigans. So there's a lot of horny shenanigans in this one, but I think overall it was a pretty good one. So let me get some water here. All right. And now that I got the water, the danger's in my heart. I don't know, man. I don't know if I can put the dangers in my heart in S tier and not put Shikimori in S tier. No, screw it. I'm putting it in there. It's like bottom. Like it's just over the line of S tier, but it's still S tier. It's such a good show. The premise of him like, I'm going to murder this girl because I hate her because she's popular. And then he's like, oh, the girl is nice to me. Never mind. I might be in love. I haven't watched season 2 yet. I really want to watch season 2 at some point this year. And I know season 2 is really good and gets really good. But that being said, it is really good. You should watch it. The premise is good. Next up is The Garden of Words, which is a Makoto Shinkai film. If you don't know this about me, I love Makoto Shinkai. I love his movies. Garden of Words, though, is a D tier because it's another I'm in love with my teacher, but like the teacher is significantly older than me. And we have like this forbidden romance type thing. And he's also like really into feet because he keeps drawing shoes, but he wants to be an architect. So I don't know how those two things coincide, but they do ? So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Next up is Bubble. We're on our last row here, which I think we were. No, this is the last row. Garden of Words put us on the last row. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 left. And then we're God tier and out of here. So, okay. Bubble is, I think I got to put that in F tier. But it's like high F tier. It was good. I finished it because it was a movie. But it kind of was disjointed and made no sense. It was a great workout for Mappa. I think Mappa animated that movie. It was either Mappa or Studio Wit. I know it also had a lot of directors from Attack on Titan. Bubble had a stacked staff. Like the staff working on it was stacked. But the actual movie wasn't that great. It's kind of like a broken rendition of The Little Mermaid. And it was all right. School Days, Shadow Realm. But like Shadow Realm for the same reason as Domestic Girlfriend, where it was like kind of funny bad or like shockingly bad. If you don't know, School Days, I didn't know this. I didn't know this about School Days going into it. But School Days is based off of a hentai game, which made a lot of things clear once I finished it. And then went back with that knowledge. Then made a lot of sense. But if you thought Kazuya was bad as a main character, the main character in School Days is absolute human filth. Like absolute human garbage. And I'm going to spoil it because I have to like justify, like I don't have to justify because it's my tier list, but I have to like explain how bad it is that it's in Shadow Realm. So this guy, so the main character here is into the purple hair girl who legitimately looks like a prototype version of Yuri from DDLC. I kid you not. She's even like into books and the whole shebang. Like they're the same character, just in different media. So the guy is really into her. And he wants to get to know her. So he like makes friends with this other girl who's really open and extroverted because he's not. And she's like, oh, I'll get you her phone number. So then him and the purple hair girl start dating. But while they're dating, the girl who set them up starts to fall in love with him. But she knows she can't fall in love with him because he's dating the purple hair girl. But then at some point, either she tells him that she's in love with him or she just kisses him out of the blue. I think, yeah, because they were like besties. And, which, by the way, this is why, guys, when you have a girlfriend, you have to immediately put boundaries on any of your other girl space friends. Like girls who are friends. When you have a girlfriend, you then have to immediately put boundaries up with all of your other friends who are girls. Because otherwise you'll get put in a situation like this, and that's not good for you or your relationship or anyone. Like, it's just not good all around. So they were besties, but no boundaries were put up once he started dating the girl, and they were still like hanging out one-on-one, and it was not great. And then I think she had hinted that she was into him and then kissed him in the same night and then just ghosted him for weeks and like ignored him at school, yada, yada, yada. So eventually he cheats on the purple-haired girl with the bestie, and they like start hooking up on the side, which this is all like degenerate behavior. But when you know that it's coming like a hentai game adaptation, it makes sense, but I didn't know that. So they like start hooking up on the side, and it's awful. And the purple hair girl starts to suspect it. And the bestie is like, okay, if we're going to do this, like, you need to break up with her because this is not fair to her. Because she's like head over heels for you. And you need to just like break it off. So he's like, yeah, okay, I'll do that. And then he never breaks up with her until like Christmas. And then when Christmas rolls around, he's like, I'm breaking up with you. But then the purple hair girl suspects why he broke up with her, and it was because of the other girl. But then at some point, he also cheats on the bestie with the bestie's bestie, who is like, I'm leaving and moving. You need to take care of her for me. But then let's sleep together. So like he sleeps with her too. So then as we get to the end, the purple hair girl is like going insane because she just wants to get answers. Like she's the most rational person in this entire series up until the very end. Because she's like, okay, I just need you to know, like, I just need to know why, like, was it me? Was it you? And he's being very, like, not answering. So she goes to the girl, and the bestie doesn't want to answer. So then we find out that the bestie is absent from school for a long period of time. This is like the last 2 episodes. We find out that the bestie is absent from school because she's pregnant. So this guy got her pregnant. And the guy kind of like starts avoiding all responsibility. And this is, so trigger warning, this is where it gets really dark and violent. And this is why, this reason alone, for the sheer shock of it all, is why it's not at the bottom of Shadow Realm for its degeneracy. The shock that I got watching this for the first time. So the bestie is like trying her best to bring together and like start this family with the guy. And she's like, I'm going to keep it. Like, we're going to like get married, yada, yada, yada. And the guy is like starting to want to go back to the purple haired girl because now there's commitment. So like he has commitment issues. And so he goes over to the bestie's house or apartment or whatever. And the bestie is like, if you're not going to be with me, then no one can. And she kills him in her apartment. And it's like you watching it feels so justified because it's like, yeah, this guy's awful. He deserves everything that's coming to him. So she kills him and then immediately regrets it and like enters this depressive spiral, but he's dead. So then the purple hair girl had been tracking and slowly going insane, tracking the bestie, and was like, "Oh, you're pregnant?" And she's like, "Yeah, I am." And the purple hair girl's like, "Well, it's been a couple months. Why you not showing?" And the bestie's like, "I don't know. Maybe he's just blah." So the purple hair girl is like, "Well, let's find out." So she cuts open the bestie and gets in her stomach and is like, "Huh, you weren't pregnant." And then she stuffs the bestie's body in a body bag and keeps the head of the guy. And that's how it ends. Like, no resolution whatsoever other than the purple hair girl. Everyone was dead except for her. So yeah, it was interesting. And it was like the shock of it all. I was like, what the heck? Okay. So that's why, like, it kind of like Domestic Girlfriend. It was really bad and degenerate, but at least it was a little interesting. So I think that's the last, like, worst one we have. Next up, My Dress Up Darling. I give that a solid B tier. Sorry, that took a lot to explain that one show. I just really felt the need to talk about it because I've never been able to talk about it anywhere else. Dress Up Darling is good. The first season is good. It's a little horny, which loses some points. But, you know, less so than More Than a Married Couple. So it was good. I think Gojo and Marin are good. I just wish there was some actual development. But that's a manga problem. It's not a anime problem yet. Next up, Tonikawa, Over the Moon for You. This one, the guy almost dies, and she saves him, and then they get married. And I think that's a solid B tier. It was good. It's really wholesome because, like, even though they're married, like, they're actually married, not like a pseudo, like, oh, we're just living together. Like, they're married. But kind of like this anime would be perfect for Warp Sonic. He would love this anime because they literally, it's like arranged marriage where they figure it out and they fall in love as they go on. And that's the whole premise. He would love this show. Well, that's the most messed up way I've heard an anime end. Yeah, it's insane. Like, it's actually insane. So yeah, that was School Days. Tonikawa was good. I share a birthday with the main character, like, even down to the year, which is kind of crazy. But he also, like, works. He's like a super smart science guy, but he has no clue when it comes to love. And they're both, like, really awkward, and it's cute and wholesome, and I love it. Next up is Your Name. I'm gonna be honest. Your Name is, like, a mid B tier. Well, I'm gonna put it at the beginning of B tier. Like, it's an upper B tier movie. I love it. I thought it was great, but I don't think it meets the upper echelon of what we've put in A tier. Next up is Bunny Girl Senpai proper. Easy S tier, baby. I'm not even. Bunny Girl Senpai is one of those shows that is one of anime's best don't judge a series by its cover. Because you say Bunny Girl Senpai and you show them the cover, which is this, which is, let's see. Yeah, it's this, where it's like Mai in the Bunny Girl costume. And it looks really promiscuous, and it looks like very, oh, well, here's the blah, 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 blah. It looks really bad and horny. But it's actually not. Jake, you've seen Your Name? And we've never talked about it? What? How have we never talked about Your Name? All right, I'll bump Your Name up to A tier, okay? It's not S tier in my opinion. But it's good. I'll give it upper A tier, okay? You're right. It's good. Anyway, Bunny Girl Senpai is a litmus test for people to not judge an anime by its cover. Because if you can get past this key visual, which literally the Bunny Girl outfit comes out, once in the first episode, and then she stops wearing it because Sakata saw her and she had no reason to wear it, so she stopped wearing it. And then everything else about the series is fine. So it's great. I really love Mai and Sakata's relationship. I'm going to make a video about that at some point. It was good. Anyway, A Whisker Away, mid. Literally the funniest part about A Whisker Away is that 90% of the English dubcast for this movie is just various Persona voice actors. Legitimately. Like, the main character in this movie is voiced by the guy who plays the protagonist in Persona 4, and the main girl is voiced by Jeremy Lay, who voices Makoto from Persona 5. So, like, legitimately, the whole movie is just Persona voice actors. And it is what it is. Oh, here's one of my final hot takes for the night. Toradora. Y'all are going to hate me for this. Toradora is in D tier. At best. At best, Toradora is a bottom of D tier show. I watched it. I owe Toradora a rewatch. I really do. To see if my opinion will change. But right now, as of Friday, April 26th, Toradora is a fat D tier, and genuinely, I don't know. No. It's not good. At least in my opinion. It's very long, it's very boring, and honestly, I don't like the way the main characters develop. Because the whole thing is Taiga knocking Ryuji around for like 26 episodes, and then at the end they're like, oh, but we're actually in love. And that's it. I don't know. I just didn't really enjoy it. I don't think it's good. I don't like the main characters, which makes it correction. I don't like Taiga. I like Ryuji. I think, is that his name? Is it Ryuji? I think it's Ryuji. I don't like Taiga. I think she's an insufferable character. I don't like her much in the same way that I don't like Haruhi Suzumiya. I think they're both very annoying, insufferable characters who were never put in their place at any point in the series, and that really drags it down. So, yeah, Toradora gets a bottom of D tier. That is probably one of my other hot takes, is that I don't like Toradora. Fruits Basket, S tier. S tier, like upper echelon of S tier, dude. Another one of the monoliths of greatest actually, no, it goes up here. Another monolith of like the greatest romance anime ever told. Toru and Kyo are honestly goals. I love them. Their development is great. All the development in Fruits Basket is great. Complete series in 3 seasons, by the way. So romance anime never goes past 3 seasons, and I don't know why. Yeah, Fruits Basket, S tier, dude. I finally watched Fruits Basket this year. And it was good. It was good. I love it so much. So, we're in the home stretch here. Komi can't communicate. Yeah, she can't communicate, so she's going in B tier. The show was good, but it kind of felt stale and stagnant by season 2. Like, the first season is incredible. Even though Netflix kind of lumped them all together, the first season was good. The second season, not so much. It really kind of started to fall stagnant there. And I know I'm not judging it for the manga, but if I was, the manga like would put it down at C tier. Like, it would knock it down a whole nother tier. The next one is Engage Kiss. This is another F tier. It was really dumb. Like, the main pink hair girl is into the guy, and she like gets all of her fighting power by making out with him, and I don't know, it's really weird. As we get to the end here, we have two movies. To Me, The One Who Loved You, and to Every You I Loved Before. I literally can't say much about these movies without spoiling them. They're, as you can tell by the key visuals here, they go together. And they are intended to be watched together because it deals a lot with the multiverse and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to put them both in B tier. Because I really enjoy it. I think it's better than Comey Can't Communicate. I put them both in B tier. I think they're really good. They're worth watching. They're on Crunchyroll. And I can't say much more about that. And then our final one is what's the title of this one? If you The Experienced You and the Inexperienced Me. Okay. So this one is going to go I'm going to put it like C tier because it's good, but the main premise is really horny. Like, really horny. Because the main premise is the main guy is into the girl, and he asks her out, and she's like, oh, sure. So then they go back to her house, and she starts getting undressed. Nothing, like, you don't see anything more than, like, she took her jacket off, and she still had, like, a shirt and stuff underneath it, because he started freaking out. And she was like, oh, this is just what you do. Like, you sleep together on the first date, and then, like, you just kind of go until it fizzles out. And the guy's like, whoa. Well, no. That's not how you do this. Like, you got to, like, get to know the person first. So then the good parts of the show are, like, how he was like, hey, let's wait. Now, he didn't say wait till marriage, which would have been ideal. But he's like, let's wait. And then the whole series is like, hey, let's go on dates. Like, let's get to know each other. I want to know more about you. I want to know what you're into. She learns about his hobbies and, like, what he's into. And there's a couple snags and snafus where, like, he has a misunderstanding and thinks she's cheating on him and freaks out. But then they, like, talk it out like normal people. And there's this whole sting where her sister comes in and is, like, into him. And he's trying to set boundaries with her because he's dating the girl. And there's a lot of misunderstandings there. And then they're like, we're going to break up. But then they get together and, like, talk it out. And they're like, but we don't want to break up. So let's talk it out. And, like, it was more mature in that way, where a normal series would have been like, no, we're done. We're breaking up. And then we're moving on. But then eventually we'll get back together without any of the work. So it was good. They didn't sleep together in the end because she got sick. And he did kind of like the upstanding thing where he put her to bed and then went and slept on the couch. So, yeah, that's the tier list of all the anime I've seen. Now, as I mentioned earlier, one of these series is going to get promoted to the monolith of, which is God tier. So, what series is that going to be? I don't really know yet. It's definitely a toss-up between... Okay, as much as I love Weathering With You, I got to move it under Bunny Girl Senpai. I'm going to be honest. So it's really a toss-up between Love is War, Fruits Basket, and Bunny Girl Senpai. So let's work with... what's the word I'm looking for? Process of elimination. Let's work process of elimination. Bunny Girl Senpai is really good, but it quite simply does not have the length that the other two have. So it's disqualified. Fruits Basket tells a complete story in its 3 seasons, and that story is really good and really emotional and very gripping. It is not a comedy per se, it's more of a romantic drama, where Love is War is a rom-com. So I have to keep that into account. But also, this is hard. This is hard. I want to say I gotta go Love is War. Like, Love is War, as I said earlier, the monolith, the peak of romance anime of all time, the romance anime of all time. You know what? We're gonna change this from God to GOAT tier, the greatest of all time. So yeah, that's the tier list. This tier list took almost 2 hours, and it was just romance. Imagine how long the stream is gonna be when it's all of the anime I've seen. Literally all of it. We're talking like over 150. Like, we're adding almost 100 anime to that list. It's going to be wild. But for now, we're going to stop here. I want to give a huge shout out and huge thank you to everyone who listened, everyone who watched. If you're watching after and checking out the VOD, or maybe you came from the YouTube video highlight, if that does exist, thanks for watching. If you're watching on the YouTube video, check out the full stream, because this was literally just the highlights, just the best parts. If you're watching the VOD, stick around. I want to do more streams like this. I might do one next week. I'm thinking about doing a manga reading stream, which I think would be really fun. So there's that. What else? There's shorts coming out. Check that out. Other than that, thank you everyone for listening, for watching. That, you know, it's pretty good. Pretty awesome, pretty epic. I thought that I was gonna download it immediately. It didn't. Uh-oh. I might be stuck here. I don't know what I did. Oh, wait, that was the image. Wait, it was there. And now it's gone. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. Thank you everybody for watching, listening, and I will see you guys in the next stream. Peace out.